Welcome back, everyone. Let's continue with our lessons with mining some baby names here. So we have created this beautiful data frame which allows us to search out names. Let's actually create a function to plot a name. And this is what we're going to use matplotlib. So I'm going to create a function def plot name. Kind of makes sense. We're going to pass to it the sex and the name as parameters. My data is going to be my all years indexed dot lock. So locate that particular sex and name. We know what that does. That just returns one of these data frames. And then we're going to call on matplotlib pp to plot. So matplotlib is for simple plot is very straightforward. You give it two lists, a list of, for the x-axis and a list for the y-axis. Here I'm going to take my data and call the index values and data, call the values. And that's it. Now, very quickly, if I have, an x coordinate of, let's say, 4, 7, 8, 9, and a y coordinate of, let's say, 30, 50, 20 and 40, I can call pp.plot and give it x and y, just so you see how it is. And that's all there is to it. Okay, so that's what matplotlib does for us, so you can see that. Sometimes when you do this, the plot doesn't show up. It doesn't show up. And if it doesn't, what you do is you do pp.show. Okay, in fact, it's more correct to do it this way. You don't get that little message either. So now we have a function we're going to call plot name and feed to it Mary. And I'm going to call pp.show. So the plot name has the pp in it, so there you go. Let's check out Mary. And here we are. We can see that from 1880 to around 2014, Mary actually peaked in the 1920s. A dip here, went back up in the 1950s, and then it was it's been on a downward trend, although it's still into the thousands. People naming their children Mary. Let's go ahead and do the same thing. I'm going to copy and paste that. And let's try Joseph also. And pick M here. We can see for Joseph, it's also peaked in the 1920s. It dipped similar to Mary, went back up. It has come down, and it's important to pay attention to the scale here. We can see that Mary went up to 70,000, whereas Joseph has been up to around in the mid-30s. So that's kind of important to pay attention to. What I like to do is to loop through a collection of popular boy names and graph them. Now I am making this decision what a popular boy name is here. Now, later on in this series, we're going to actually find out what, were the popular boy names. So right now I'm sort of guessing. So I'm going to, first of all, call matplotlib and call the figure method, which can take several parameters, and this helps you adjust the figure's various attributes. In this case, I want to change its fixed size, which is one of the attributes, and this is a tuple. It takes a tuple, and these are relative numbers, so I want it to be sort of long and not quite as tall. If you give them equal values, then it's going to be a square, basically. I'm going to create a names list, and I'm going to put in Michael. I understand it's still a very positive name. John, David, and let's say Joseph. So for name in names, that's our names list. I'm going to call plot name, our function, pass to it M and the name. And outside of the loop, what I'm going to do is I'm going to call the legend method of matplotlib, and you feed to it a list for legend. I'm going to say pp.show. Now this is important, pay attention. Take a look at this beautiful graph that was generated that shows all of the names. It's important for you to see that if I were to make this slight change here, for instance, if I were to comment this out and put the pp.show inside the method, this is what you get. You get individual graphs for each of the names. Okay? And that's what I wanted to point out. So I'm not going to do that, of course. I'm going to take this back out and put pp.show. And this way, if you do it this way, you get all of them on the same graph, which is what I want. And there is the legend that was created based on the list that was fed to it. So we don't want to leave out the girls. Let's go ahead and copy and paste this whole thing and do popular girl names. This, of course, becomes an F, and then I need to have a list of girls. So I'm going to consider what is, again, it's my decision what I consider to be popular girl names. Emily, I hear that a lot. Anna, a little bit old-fashioned, but still hear it. Claire, it's been a little bit popular recently. And Elizabeth. Let's go ahead and graph these girls. So here we are. Again, we can see there are some trends. You can see that Emily was not quite as popular and it's become very popular over the past 20-some years. There's Anna. Elizabeth's been pretty consistent. It did peak over here. Of course, the population is going up too. Keep that in mind. And there's Claire. It's picking up some steam over the past 20 years. Let's do the same thing. I'm going to copy and paste the last one. So let's loop through a collection of popular collection of a girl name with different spelling sound. Okay, so this would be kind of cool to do. So for this one, I'm going to pick, so these are different names derived from the same name. So I'm going to have Kathleen, Kathy, Kathleen with a C, Kathy with a C, and let's say Kat. Okay, so I have 5 in my list this time. If I graph this one, we can see that the Kathleen with the traditional spelling followed by Kathy, which is a derivative of that, have been the most popular. Kathleen with a C, not quite as much. Kathy with a C, more popular than Kathleen with a C, and Kat barely registers on this list. Let's take a look at the names list that we created, just so we know that we have that. Okay, I want to look up the names in the names list. Let's go ahead and do this. I am going to take all years, indexed, dot lock, females, so I want girls, and within that I'm going to locate these names, this last set of names that I picked. And here we are. Again, it shows you it's going through, there's a lot of rows, 450 rows, so it's summarizing, but we can clearly see there's Kathleen. Kathy and Kathleen are missing in the ... but we have an idea of what they are. Okay, so over here we're going to learn about unstacking and restacking stuff. So I'm going to unstack the data frame. What does this mean? Unstacking means moving the innermost row index to become the innermost column index. So I'm going to take it all years, indexed dot lock. locate the girls dot lock names, and I'm going to call the unstack method on this data frame level equals 0. Very important. This level equals 0 means basically the 0th level. Remember that everything in Python starts at 0. So dot head. Let's check this out. And so by doing this, you see that these these row headings, these are rows. That's a row. That's a row. These row headings became column headings, and we have everything shown up here as not a number, NaN. That means that back in 1880, apparently nobody named their kids Kathy, Kathleen, Kathy, or Kat. Well, let's replace these not a numbers with zeros, which would make more sense to us. So I'm going to copy and paste this again. And what I'm going to do is, once I've done that, instead of getting the heads, I'm going to call fill an A with 0, and then call the head method. Now I want you to understand that this is not impacting the original data frame. We haven't assigned this to anything yet. So the original data frame is remaining as is. This is what we're getting displayed. So if I wanted to use this later, I need to assign this to a variable so I can use it later for something else. Okay, so I just wanted to illustrate some of these concepts. I'm going to stop the video right here. We'll have a few more videos to complete this lesson. As always, thank you for watching. Please share with loved ones and friends, and see you in the next video.